Have you been wanting to manifest something and perhaps you didn't succeed, or perhaps you're just looking for the right way of manifesting, the right kind of technique that works the best? Well, today I'm going to talk about robotic affirmations, and I'm going to share my experience, what happened when I tried it, and also I'm going to give you some advice of what to do and what not to do. My name is Eden. I'm a therapist. I'm educated as a kinesiologist, and I know quite a lot about the mindset, the different levels of consciousness, the brain, the nervous system, and what happens when you program yourself or mold and shape your identity and the different parts of you, what is good and what is bad, and that's what we're going to look at today. So let's take a look at what robotic affirmations is. It's in the name. It is about repeating and repeating and repeating something as if you are a robot. Now, ordinary affirmations and manifestation techniques usually depend on you being able to embody it, sense it, feel it, identify with it, and know that it's going to happen, believe it, and see yourself as deserving of it. Now, if that's not the case, if you are not able to identify with it and feel it and believe it and all of that, well then robotic affirmations is a great way of bypassing that and simply repeat something over and over again, because in this case, or with that method, you don't have to have a sense of it being a reality, and you don't even have to believe it. Robotic affirmations is based on the law of assumption, and we can see the law of assumption in society today, in the media, in the news, in magazines, everything that is around us. If something is repeated again and again enough times, we will, the masses and the people, we will start to believe that it is a reality, whether it is true or not. And the same goes for us as individuals. If we continue to repeat something to ourselves, like a statement or a fact, or it can be fabricated, but it is repeated, well then you will eventually, on a subconscious and unconscious level, start assuming that, well, since she's saying this all the time, or since this is being repeated all the time, well then I assume that's what's the case. And the body and the different levels of consciousness will start to produce and move every part of the being that you are in that direction. Now, this is for good and for bad. Whenever we are repeating something that is leading us to a higher state and a better version of who we can be, well then we are going to move in that direction. But of course, it also works if we are repeating negative things, or we are focusing in some direction that is not really right for us. If you find these kind of topics interesting, then I have created a free mini course that you can join. It's about making dreams come true and fulfilling your life purpose. So it's definitely about manifesting and doing it in a balanced way. So I tried robotic affirmations, and I'm going to share what happened. But before I do, you already know that I'm a kinesiologist, I'm a therapist, but I also love God. So I am really sensitive and aware of what God's will is. And I know and I understand that a higher will, whether you believe in God or something else that is higher than yourself, a higher will and a higher perspective and a higher intelligence will always have a better solution and better results than if I focus on my will. So whenever I do something where I'm not 100% sure, or I'm not convinced that what I'm doing is actually within God's will for me, then I get a little bit icky. And that's exactly what happened when I did the robotic affirmations. If I did something that came from me, or I wasn't certain that it originated from God as a vision that He had for me, as the direction that He wanted me to go in, well then it became very, very uncomfortable. Now, that is for me personally because I am very sensitive to these things, and I've seen so many things and I've experienced stuff early on in my life. When I was only 19 years old, I was still an atheist, or at least I had not figured out anything with God. I just knew there was some levels of something that was invisible. But already at that stage, I realized that my will would not make me happy. If I got what I wanted, it was not the ideal way of making my life better. So at that stage, I gave my will over to something higher. I had no idea what, but it was the beginning of me of finding God. And I put this in here just to put it in perspective. If we pursue and push for something that is not really good for us, well, then you may get it, but it's going to have a sour price. There's going to be consequences that is not really going to be good for you. And in the worst scenario, you are actually going to limit your potential by chasing after something that has a short-term value or gain, but in the long run, it is not building you up. So my advice for you, if you want to do robotic affirmations, is go for it. If you go after what you are convinced is the highest will for you, God's plan for you, the promises of God in the Bible, or whatever you see as the highest possible, then that is excellent, because in the highest, every aspect of you and your future and your life will be included, and so the result will be holy and blessed and whole, right? We want it to be good. However, if you are pursuing your own will, your desires, your idea of what would be good for you, then you may quickly create a really bad situation for yourself. And I would not advise you to program your system and, push to manifest something that is not really gonna give you a blessed and whole and balanced life. And let me share a quick story. As a kinesiologist, I've seen so much and I've heard so many stories from colleagues and teachers, etc. We can, as a kinesiologist, that is like the highest level that I know of, where you can actually mold and program the system and the different levels of consciousness in one direction so that you can reach goals. So it is much more powerful than affirmations and all of these other manifestation techniques. However, we've seen so many examples of people chasing a dream, something they are obsessed about, something they want in their flesh or their ego, but they don't see the big picture, and it may be the wrong direction, or it may be pushing your limits and emptying buckets of other pleasures or, blessings that you should have had in your life. And one example of this is one person was pursuing a nice car, like a sports car, really expensive, really fancy, boosting the ego, right? Feels good in the moment. And so every level was balanced and focused in on this dream that this guy had of getting a race car. And he did. He ended up getting it. And this could be a house, it could be a boyfriend, it could be anything. He got the result. But the problem was that it ruined his economy and he did not have a good life at all. It was not what was good for him. It was his obsession of what he wanted in the moment, but it was not giving him the life that he desired. And if you are interested in manifesting stuff, then you may also be interested in shifting your identity and, making all of your levels of your consciousness agree, etc. And I've created a video about that. You can see it on the screen now, so check it out if that's for you. With that, I just want to say thank you, be blessed, and take care.